Have you ever looked at that mark on your skin and wondered, why is this here? Maybe you've had it since you were born, or maybe it showed up later in life. These special marks on our skin, called birthmarks, might be more than just random spots. Some people think they could be signs from the universe, telling us we're special or chosen for something big. Imagine if that little mark you've always had was actually a message just for you. What if it meant you had a special purpose or some amazing abilities? It sounds pretty exciting, right? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at 5 different types of birthmarks that some people believe are signs of being chosen. Now, before we dive in, let's talk about what birthmarks really are. Birthmarks are just areas of skin that look different from the rest. They can be all sorts of shapes, sizes, and colors. Some are flat, some are raised, and they can show up anywhere on your body. Most of the time, doctors say birthmarks are just normal variations in our skin. But in some spiritual beliefs, these marks are thought to be much more than that. In many spiritual traditions around the world, people have long believed that our bodies can tell us things about our souls. They think that the way we look on the outside can give us clues about who we are on the inside. Birthmarks are especially interesting to these believers because they're with us from the very beginning of our lives. Some people think birthmarks are like little stamps from the universe, marking us as special or giving us a hint about our life's purpose. Others believe they might be signs of past lives or connections to the spirit world. It's a fascinating way of looking at something that most of us probably don't think twice about. But here's the thing. These ideas about birthmarks being spiritual signs aren't based on science. They come from beliefs and traditions that have been passed down through generations. Some people find comfort and meaning in these beliefs, while others might not agree with them at all. And that's okay. We're all different, and we all have our own ways of understanding the world. What's really important is that we respect each other's beliefs, even if they're different from our own. Whether you believe birthmarks have special meanings or not, they're still a part of what makes each of us unique. And that's pretty cool, isn't it? In this video, we're going to explore 5 types of birthmarks that some spiritual traditions consider especially meaningful. We'll look at what these marks look like, where they usually show up on the body, and what some people believe they might mean. Remember, this isn't about telling you what to believe. It's more like going on a little adventure together, exploring some interesting ideas from around the world. Who knows? You might learn something new about a mark you've had your whole life. Or maybe you'll just enjoy hearing about how different people see the world. As we go through each type of birthmark, think about whether you or someone you know has one like it. But don't worry if you don't have any of these marks. The most important thing to remember is that we're all special in our own ways, birthmarks or not. So, are you ready to start our journey into the world of spiritual birthmarks? Let's begin with our first special mark, one that looks a bit like a splash of wine on the skin. Our first birthmark is called a port wine stain. It got this name because it looks a bit like someone spilled red wine on the skin. These marks are usually pink, red, or purple, and they can show up anywhere on the body. But they're most common on the face, neck, arms, or legs. Port wine stains are with you from the day you're born, and they don't go away as you get older. In fact, they might even get a bit darker or more raised over time. From a medical point of view, these marks happen because some tiny blood vessels in the skin didn't form quite right. But in the world of spiritual beliefs, they're seen as something much more special. In some spiritual traditions, people believe that port wine stains are a sign of inner strength and passion. They think that people with these marks are natural leaders, with a strong drive to make the world a better place. Some even say that these marks are a sign of a powerful spirit guide watching over the person. Imagine having a mark that tells the world you're meant to do great things. People with port wine stains are often seen as brave and determined. They might face challenges, especially if the mark is very visible, but believers say this just makes them stronger. There's a beautiful idea in some traditions that port wine stains are like a map of the person's emotional depths. Just as the mark has many layers of color, believers say that people with these marks have rich, complex inner lives. They're thought to be very intuitive, often understanding things about others that most people miss. But having a port wine stain isn't always easy. These marks can sometimes make people feel different or stand out in a crowd. In the spiritual view, this is seen as part of the person's journey. It's believed that these challenges help the person grow stronger and develop their inner gifts. Some people with port wine stains say they've always felt a bit different, like they were meant for something special. They might feel a strong pull towards helping others or fighting for important causes. In spiritual terms, this is seen as the person answering their higher calling. It's important to remember that while these ideas are interesting, they're not scientific facts. Every person with a port wine stain is unique, with their own personality, strengths, and challenges. The mark doesn't define who they are, but for some, it might be a source of pride or a reminder of their inner strength. Whether you have a port wine stain or not, we can all learn something from this spiritual view. It reminds us that what some people see as a flaw, others see as a sign of something special. It's all about perspective and how we choose to see ourselves and others. Our next special birthmark is called a strawberry mark, and it's easy to see why. These marks look a bit like the bright red color and bumpy texture of a strawberry. They're also known as hemangiomas, but we'll stick with the friendlier name, strawberry mark. Strawberry marks usually show up in the first few weeks after a baby is born. They start small, but can grow quickly in the first year. The good news is that most strawberry marks start to fade away on their own as the child gets older. By the time the child is about 10 years old, the mark might be completely gone or just a faint shadow. These marks can appear anywhere on the body, but they're most common on the face, scalp, chest, or back. From a medical point of view, they're just an overgrowth of blood vessels. But in spiritual beliefs, they're seen as something much sweeter. In some spiritual traditions, strawberry marks are seen as a sign of joy and vitality. People believe that babies born with these marks are destined to bring happiness and laughter to those around them. It's like they come into the world with an extra dose of cheerfulness. There's a lovely idea that strawberry marks are like little stamps of blessing from the spirit world. Some believe that these marks show that the child has been kissed by angels before being sent to earth. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? Imagine being marked by joy before you even enter the world. People with strawberry marks are often thought to have a special connection to the lighter side of life. They're seen as natural optimists, always able to find the silver lining in any situation. In spiritual terms, this is believed to be a gift that helps them navigate life's challenges with grace and positivity. There's also a belief that people with strawberry marks have a special ability to spread joy to others. They're thought to have a kind of inner glow that attracts people and makes them feel good. In some traditions, these individuals are seen as natural healers, able to lift others' spirits just by being themselves. The fact that strawberry marks often fade away is seen as significant in spiritual beliefs too. Some say it represents the person learning to internalize their gift of joy as they grow older. The mark may disappear from the skin, but the inner happiness and ability to spread joy remains. Of course, having a strawberry mark doesn't automatically make someone a bundle of joy. Every person is unique, with their own personality and way of seeing the world. But for those who believe in the spiritual meaning of these marks, it's a reminder to look for the joy in life, no matter what challenges we face. Even if you don't have a strawberry mark, there's something we can all learn from this belief. It reminds us of the power of joy and how much of a difference a positive outlook can make in our lives and the lives of those around us. Our third special birthmark is called a Mongolian spot. Don't let the name fool you. These marks can show up on people from all over the world, not just Mongolia. They're also sometimes called blue-gray spots because of their color. Mongolian spots usually appear at birth or shortly after. They look like bruises, but they don't hurt at all. These marks are most often found on the lower back, bottom, or sometimes on the arms or legs. They're more common in people with darker skin tones, but anyone can have them. One interesting thing about Mongolian spots is that they often disappear on their own as the child grows up. By the time a child is about 4 or 5 years old, the mark might be completely gone. Sometimes they stick around a bit longer, but it's rare for them to last into adulthood. Now, doctors will tell you that Mongolian spots are just areas where some of the body's pigment cells got trapped deeper in the skin than usual. But in the world of spiritual beliefs, these blue-gray marks are seen as something much more mysterious and meaningful. In many spiritual traditions, Mongolian spots are believed to be a sign of old souls. People think that babies born with these marks have lived many past lives. It's like the blue-gray color is a little window showing the depth of the soul's journey through time. Some beliefs go even further, saying that the location of the Mongolian spot can tell you something about the person's past lives. For example, a mark on the back might mean the person was a great leader or carried heavy burdens in their past lives. A mark on the legs could mean they were great travelers or runners. There's a beautiful idea in some cultures that Mongolian spots are like little reminders from the universe. They're thought to be gentle nudges, helping the person remember the wisdom they've gathered over many lifetimes. It's like having a built-in guide to help navigate this life's challenges. People with Mongolian spots are often seen as old souls in young bodies. They might seem wise beyond their years or have a calm, knowing presence that others find comforting. In spiritual terms, this is believed to be the result of many lifetimes of experience shining through. The fact that these marks often fade away is seen as meaningful too. Some believe it represents the person fully settling into their current life, no longer needing the visible reminder of their past journeys. The wisdom remains, but the physical mark fades away. Of course, having a Mongolian spot doesn't automatically make someone an ancient, wise soul. Every person grows and learns at their own pace, marks or no marks. But for those who believe in the spiritual meaning of these spots, it's a fascinating way of thinking about the journey of the soul. Even if you don't have a Mongolian spot, or if you're not sure about the idea of past lives, there's something we can all take from this belief. It reminds us that we all have inner wisdom, whether it comes from past lives or just our experiences in this one. Sometimes, we just need to take a moment to listen to that inner voice. As we've explored these 3 special birthmarks, the port wine stain, the strawberry mark, and the Mongolian spot, we've seen how something as simple as a mark on the skin can be viewed in such fascinating ways. Whether you see these marks as just quirks of biology or as signs from the universe, they're a reminder of how unique and special each of us is. Remember, these spiritual beliefs about birthmarks aren't scientific facts. They're ways that some people choose to find meaning and connection in the world around them. Whether you have these marks or not, whether you believe in their spiritual significance or not, the most important thing is how you choose to see yourself and others. In our next 2 sections, we'll explore 2 more types of birthmarks that some people believe have special meanings. But before we move on, take a moment to think about any birthmarks you might have. Have you ever wondered about their meaning? Or maybe you know someone with an interesting birthmark. How do you think they feel about it? As we continue our journey into the world of spiritual birthmarks, keep an open mind. You might not agree with everything you hear, and that's okay. The goal isn't to change what you believe, but to explore different ways of seeing the world. After all, isn't that what makes life so interesting? So, are you ready to discover more about the hidden messages some people believe are written on our skin? Let's continue our exploration with our next special mark, one that's often hidden in plain sight. Certainly, I'll continue with the next 3 sections of the outline, maintaining the same engaging and in-depth style with easy-to-understand English. Let's talk about our 4th special birthmark, one that's often called a stork bite. Now, don't worry, it's not really from a stork. This name comes from an old story that storks gave babies these marks when they delivered them to their parents. Isn't that a fun idea? Stork bites are also known as angel kisses when they appear on the forehead or eyelids. These marks are usually light pink or red and can be found on the back of the neck, forehead, eyelids, or even the nose. Unlike some other birthmarks, stork bites are super common. Almost half of all babies are born with them. Here's something interesting about stork bites. They often fade away as the baby grows up. The ones on the face usually disappear within the first year or 2. But the marks on the back of the neck? Those might stick around for life, hiding under the hair where only the person knows they're there. In the world of science, doctors say stork bites happen because of small blood vessels close to the skin surface. But in spiritual beliefs? Well, that's where things get really fascinating. Many spiritual traditions see stork bites as a sign of blessing or protection. Remember how they're sometimes called angel kisses? Some people believe these marks are literally left by guardian angels, watching over the baby as they enter our world. It's like a little stamp of heavenly approval. There's a beautiful idea that babies with stork bites on their eyelids or forehead are especially intuitive. People think these little ones might have a special ability to see things others can't. Not with their eyes, but with their hearts and minds. They're believed to be naturally in tune with the feelings and needs of others. For marks on the back of the neck, some spiritual beliefs say this shows a connection to past lives or ancestral wisdom. It's like the universe is tapping the person on the shoulder, reminding them of knowledge they carry from long ago. Pretty cool, right? People with stork bites are often thought to be natural peacemakers. They're seen as having a calm, soothing presence that can ease conflicts and make others feel safe. In spiritual terms, this is believed to be a reflection of the angelic energy that marked them at birth. There's also a fun belief that people with stork bites might be extra lucky in love. Some say these marks are a sign that the person is destined for a deep, meaningful relationship. It's like they've been pre-approved for a special kind of love. Of course, having a stork bite doesn't automatically make someone a psychic peacemaker or guarantee them a perfect love life. Every person is unique, with their own strengths and challenges. But for those who believe in the spiritual meaning of these marks, it's a reminder of the potential for love and understanding we all carry within us. Even if you don't have a stork bite, or if you're not sure about these spiritual ideas, there's something we can all learn from this belief. It reminds us to look for the blessings in our lives, big and small. Maybe we don't have visible marks from angels, but we can all choose to spread a little heavenly kindness in our daily lives. As we move on to our final birthmark, take a moment to think about the angel kisses you might see around you. Maybe you have one, or know someone who does. How does it make you feel to think of these simple marks as little touches of magic in our everyday world? Our fifth and final special birthmark is called a café au lait spot. If you're wondering about the name, it's French for coffee with milk, which perfectly describes the light brown color of these marks. These spots can show up anywhere on the body and can be any size, from tiny dots to large patches. Café au lait spots are usually present at birth, but sometimes they appear in early childhood. Unlike some other birthmarks, these spots don't go away as you get older. They might get a bit darker or grow slightly, but they generally stay with you for life. From a medical standpoint, café au lait spots are just areas where the skin has a bit more pigment than usual. Most of the time, they're completely harmless. But in the world of spiritual beliefs, these simple brown spots are seen as something much more exciting. In many spiritual traditions, café au lait spots are believed to be markers of special gifts or abilities. Some people think of them as little maps on the skin, pointing to areas of magical potential within the person. It's like having your own personal treasure map right on your body. There's a fascinating belief that the location of a café au lait spot can tell you something about the person's hidden talents. For example, a spot on the hand might mean the person has healing abilities or is gifted in creating things. A spot near the eye could mean the person has strong intuition or psychic abilities. People with café au lait spots are often seen as natural mystics. They're thought to have an easy connection to the spiritual world, able to sense things that others might miss. In some beliefs, these spots are seen as doorways between our world and the spirit realm, allowing the person to tap into higher wisdom. There's also an interesting idea that café au lait spots are like little power centers on the body. Some people believe you can activate the spot's energy by focusing on it during meditation or prayer. It's like having a built-in boost button for your spiritual practice. In some traditions, café au lait spots are seen as markers of old souls or star children. These are believed to be people who have come to Earth with a special purpose, often to help guide humanity or bring new ideas into the world. The spots are thought to be reminders of their cosmic origins. Of course, having a café au lait spot doesn't automatically make someone a mystical guru or give them superpowers. Every person is unique, with their own journey of discovery. But for those who believe in the spiritual meaning of these marks, it's a constant reminder of the magic and potential within themselves. Even if you don't have cafe au lait spots, or if you're not sure about these spiritual ideas, there's something valuable we can all take from this belief. It encourages us to look deeper, to explore our own hidden talents and potentials. After all, we all have special gifts. Sometimes we just need a little reminder to look for them. As we wrap up our journey through these 5 special birthmarks, take a moment to reflect. Whether you have any of these marks or not, what hidden potentials do you think you might have? What special gifts are waiting to be discovered within you? Now that we've explored these 5 special birthmarks, the port wine stain, the strawberry mark, the Mongolian spot, the stork bite, and the cafe au lait spot, it's time to think about what this all means for you. First, take a moment to look at your own skin. Do you have any birthmarks? Maybe you've never really paid attention to them before. Or maybe you've always wondered about that special mark you've had since birth. Whether you have one of the marks we talked about, or something completely different, each mark is unique to you. If you do have a birthmark, how do you feel about it? Has this video made you think about it differently? Remember, whether you believe in the spiritual meanings we've discussed or not, your birthmark is part of what makes you special. It's a unique part of your personal story. For those of you who don't have any birthmarks, that's special too. In some spiritual beliefs, the absence of birthmarks is seen as a sign of a fresh start, a soul beginning a brand new journey without any baggage from the past. How's that for a positive spin? It's important to remember that these spiritual beliefs about birthmarks are just that, beliefs. They're not scientific facts, but ways that some people choose to find meaning in the world around them. Whether you find these ideas fascinating or far-fetched, they're a reminder of how people throughout history have tried to understand the mysteries of our bodies and our place in the universe. Think about how these ideas might apply to your life, even if you don't have these specific birthmarks. Do you feel like you have a special purpose or hidden talents? Do you sometimes sense things others don't, or feel a deep connection to the past? These are all parts of the human experience that we share, birthmarks or not. The most important thing to take away from this journey is that we're all special in our own ways. Whether you have a birthmark that some believe is a sign from the universe, or your skin is mark-free, you are unique and valuable. Your true gifts come from who you are as a person, not from any marks on your skin. So, what's next? If you're curious about these ideas, you might want to do some more research. There are lots of books and websites out there about the spiritual meanings of birthmarks. But remember to approach everything with an open but critical mind. It's okay to explore these ideas while still thinking critically about them. If you have a birthmark, especially one that's visible to others, remember that it's a part of what makes you uniquely you. Whether you see it as a special sign or just a quirk of biology, try to embrace it. After all, some of the most beautiful things in nature are the ones that stand out as different. For those without birthmarks, you can still take something from this journey. These beliefs remind us to look for the magic in the everyday, to consider that there might be more to our world than what we can see on the surface. Whether that magic comes from spiritual realms or simply from the wonder of human imagination, it adds richness to our lives. As we come to the end of our exploration of birthmarks and their potential spiritual meanings, I hope you've enjoyed this journey. Whether you've discovered new ideas that resonate with you, or simply enjoyed learning about different beliefs, thank you for coming along on this adventure. Remember, the most important marks are the ones we make on the world through our actions and the way we treat others. Those are the true signs of a chosen, special soul. So go out there and make your mark on the world, birthmark or not. Certainly. I'll continue with the remaining sections of the outline and add a conclusion, maintaining the same engaging and in-depth style with easy-to-understand English. We've journeyed through the world of special birthmarks, exploring their potential spiritual meanings. But now, let's take a moment to think about you. Yes, you. Whether you have birthmarks or not, your skin tells a unique story. Take a look at your skin. Really look at it. Maybe you have one of the birthmarks we talked about. Maybe you have a completely different kind of mark. Or maybe your skin is as smooth as can be. Whatever you see, it's all part of what makes you, well, you. If you do have a birthmark, how do you feel about it? Has our talk today changed how you see it? Some people love their birthmarks and see them as special features. Others might feel a bit self-conscious about them. Both feelings are totally okay and normal. For those with visible birthmarks, you might have had people ask you about them. Maybe you've even made up fun stories about how you got them. If you believe in the spiritual meanings we've discussed, you might see your birthmark as a kind of superpower. But even if you don't, it's still a unique part of your personal story. Now, if you don't have any birthmarks, that doesn't mean you're left out of this story. In some spiritual beliefs, having no birthmarks is seen as special too. It could mean you're starting fresh, with a clean slate. How cool is that? Remember, whether you have birthmarks or not, whether you believe in their spiritual meanings or not, you are special. Your true gifts come from who you are as a person. Your kindness, your creativity, your way of looking at the world. Those are the things that really matter. Here's a secret. The real magic isn't in the birthmarks themselves. It's in how we choose to see ourselves and the world around us. Whether you have a port wine stain, a stork bite, or no marks at all, you have the power to create your own magic. Think about the ideas we've explored. The port wine stain that might mean inner strength. The strawberry mark that could be a sign of joy. The Mongolian spot that some see as a link to past lives. The stork bite that might be an angel's kiss. The cafe au lait spot that could point to hidden talents. Now, imagine if we all tried to live up to these special qualities, birthmarks or not. What if we all tried to be a little stronger, spread a little more joy, learn from our past, be a bit kinder, and explore our hidden talents? Wouldn't the world be an amazing place? That's the real power of these beliefs. They remind us of the potential we all have inside. They encourage us to look deeper, to see the magic in ourselves and in others. And that's something we can all do, no matter what our skin looks like. So here's a little challenge for you. Try to find the magic in yourself and in the people around you. Look for the strength, the joy, the wisdom, the kindness, and the hidden talents. They're there, waiting to be discovered and shared with the world. We've come to the end of our exploration of birthmarks and their potential spiritual meanings. It's been quite an adventure, hasn't it? We've traveled from port wine stains to cafe au lait spots, with stops at strawberry marks, Mongolian spots, and stork bites along the way. Remember, the ideas we've talked about are beliefs, not scientific facts. They're ways that some people choose to find meaning in the world around them. Whether you find these ideas fascinating or far-fetched, they're a reminder of how people throughout history have tried to understand the mysteries of our bodies and our place in the universe. The most important thing to take away from this journey is that we're all special in our own ways. Your true value doesn't come from marks on your skin, but from who you are as a person. Your kindness, your creativity, your way of looking at the world. These are your real superpowers. If you're curious about these ideas, you might want to learn more. There are lots of books and websites out there about the spiritual meanings of birthmarks. But remember to approach everything with an open but critical mind. It's okay to explore these ideas while still thinking carefully about them. For those of you with birthmarks, especially ones that are easy to see, remember that they're part of what makes you uniquely you. Whether you see them as special signs or just interesting quirks of biology, try to embrace them. Some of the most beautiful things in nature are the ones that stand out as different. And for those without birthmarks, you can still take something from this journey. These beliefs remind us to look for the magic in everyday life, to consider that there might be more to our world than what we can see on the surface. Whether that magic comes from spiritual realms or simply from the wonder of human imagination, it adds richness to our lives. As we close our discussion, I hope you've enjoyed this journey into the world of birthmarks and their potential meanings. Whether you've discovered new ideas that speak to you, or simply enjoyed learning about different beliefs, thank you for coming along on this adventure. Remember, the most important marks are the ones we make on the world through our actions and the way we treat others. Those are the true signs of a special soul. So go out there and make your mark on the world, birthmark or not. And hey, the next time you see someone with an interesting birthmark, maybe you'll think back to this video. Maybe you'll wonder about their special gifts or the magic they carry inside. But most importantly, I hope you'll remember that we're all special, all unique, and all have something wonderful to offer the world. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery. Until next time, keep looking for the magic in yourself and in others. It's there, waiting to be found. Goodbye for now, and remember, you are chosen, special, and amazing, just as you are.